many South Africans have been expressing their concern over what seems to be our government's reluctance to move away from the traditional coal-powered electricity generation systems that we have, where many people are saying that actually if we look at the way the country is set out and we look at the space that we have, we could potentially be using solar. Yeah. Happy, is it really that simple an argument?
Yes and no. The truth of the matter is that because of the particular economic model South Africa has chosen, it needs to invest in centralized forms of distribution. Hence, you find that the things that are keeping us going are the very same things that are causing the problems. For example, with telecommunications, a large portion of the problem that we had is that we couldn't really vastly integrate the telecom lines into other communities, but then it got leapfrogged by cell phones. The same thing with electricity is that we have designed a system that is centralized around coal, centralized around big power generation. And we are starting to see that there maybe is an option to decentralize it by looking at other options. And the other options are easier as well. For example, with solar, you can put it on your roof as well. You can also put it at a communal level, or you can put it at a district level. With wind, it's the same thing. And if we have to design something that's more centralized and takes less time to build, you can also do that. With coal-fired power stations, gas as well, to a little extent gas and nuclear, very largely nuclear, it's very centralized. It's big power. So it's power which needs to be used all the time, and it needs to have a very flat base load. So there must be constant need for power. With solar and with wind, it basically says that you need to use the power when it's available if you can't store it. So it changes the dynamics of what kind of economic model, what kind of occupations people will have. Because if people have to start working at different times because most of the sources of power we have are at different times, it will change the way we live our lives as well in South Africa. So trying to keep the status quo as well is keeping the centralized form of generation.
Right, and presumably then moving away from that centralized form of generation would make us more stable when it comes to energy.
It's also a question of diversifying the mix. The more we diversify the mix, the more we will have a stable grid, stable generation, a security of supply. It's about what we use as well. I mean, the volatility around pricing of coal and diesel is a big part of why also we need the tariff increase, because the price for diesel has, or petrol or crude oil has gone up.
Don't we know it?
Yeah, has gone up. Yeah. Internationally, it's kind of stable, but also the fact that we are a country that's in an international economy, our exchange rate plays a factor in this. So what happens that we have to balance this out. So the tariff increase needs to adjust for that as well, and that's a fair argument. However, there are other options, as we are alluding to, that if we are going to have something, for example, like solar water heaters that remove the need to heat your water from electricity, you are cutting the bulk of your electricity consumption, and that changes your price as well, how much you pay and what you can get out at the end of the day from either free basic services or what you can save from your energy perspective.
Let's go back now to the 23rd and the 24th of June, where the National Energy Regulator of South Africa will be holding these hearings, you say, in Gauteng. And if there is a concerned citizen watching this video who feels that they have an opinion that they want heard, or perhaps they want to find out more about these hearings, how can we get involved? How can we find out more information?
I think one of the best ways is if you are around in Gauteng, go to the NERSA hearings, listen in for yourself. If you can't make it there, there are a number of organizations that are organized, including trade unions as well as the cities. Cities are going to make presentations there to say, like, look, the fact of the matter is if you increase tariffs, people are going to demand electricity less. Then we can't get the revenue we need. Therefore, we can't pay you what you want, and we can't actually do the other services which electricity helps us by cross-subsidizing. And contact those people. For example, with Project 90, we are going through a process where we are accepting people to send us their inputs, and then we're going to consolidate them and share them, because we will be presenting at that particular meeting. So there are organizations who are out there who are trying to make sure that the different voices are being heard. I know that organizations such as here in Cape Town, the 1 Million Climate Drugs has meetings to unpack what is a tariff and the understanding of the different issues that are around such an issue or subject.
Happy, before you go, tell us how we can contact Project 90 by 2030 via social networks and where we can find you online.
You can find us online on Twitter. It's Project 90 by 2030, no spaces. And then you can find us on our Facebook page as well. It's Project 90 by 2030 as well. Obviously, you can also find me on Twitter. It's Happy Kambule or H Kambule.